Yeah, this is going to knock him out for the majority of the rest of the season. And it sounds like a terrible blow to a team that he's barely been able to play for. And, I certainly felt the vibes in the league yesterday like, oh my gosh, this is a serious challenge to them. But I have to say, being around them and being in their locker room a couple of nights ago after this happened, they're kind of chill about it. They realize it's a setback. They're disappointed for Kevin, but they're really happy with the way he fit into the team. Chris Paul flat out said he's not worried at all about gelling him back in. He'll go get healthy. They've won 9 out of 12. They play Sacramento tomorrow at home. If they beat them, they'll be right on their heels for the number 3 seed. It's not good, but I don't think that the Suns are that stressed over it.
All right, so then the big perk, let me come to you. Again, as I point out, you know what a championship team requires. I know KD is about as plug and play as any superstar in NBA history. But at some point, if this team has basically played together for something like 2 weeks when the playoffs begin, can they possibly win the championship this year?
Greeny, I know it's been a minute since you heard this term come out of my mouth, but the Phoenix Suns are dead bird, tall grass. Okay,
Wow.
Make no mistake about it. And I didn't have them picked to win it, or they wasn't one of my favorites or my favorite for us representing the Western Conference. And it's because of the lack of depth. And when we all know coming back off an injury, it's still going to take time. So if Kevin Durant is probably going to miss the rest of the season, that means that he's going to come back in the postseason. What happens when you come back in the postseason, that's the highest level of basketball. And I'm not saying that Kevin Durant is not going to be ready, but you could have setbacks. We don't know. But at the end of the day, we know one thing about the Phoenix Suns is that they don't have a deep roster. And because they had to give up so much for us getting Kevin Durant, and rightfully so, because they lost Jay Crowder and now he's with the Milwaukee Bucks, they just don't have enough when I look at their bench to go out there and compete night in and night out to try to win their ultimate goal, and that's winning the championship. They just don't have it, and it's okay. But I tell you this, I am disappointed, and all the fans should be disappointed, because anytime a superstar or arguably the best player in the game and Kevin Durant is not available, that just does a disservice to the league, because we all want to see him on the floor.
I'm with you with that. Again, I think there is a lot of reason to hope he'll be back before the regular season ends, but not much before. And I will remind anyone who needs reminding, these 3 games that he just played come on the heels of him having missed basically 2 months before that, or however long it was from the time he got injured when he was still a Brooklyn Net. This is a guy who will have played almost no NBA basketball this calendar year. Can the Warriors just flip a switch? I mean, they're the defending champs. I feel like we just keep waiting and waiting. You know what a championship team takes. Can they flip a switch and become that again when the playoffs begin?
Greeny, yeah, they could flip it. They could flip it on, and then they gonna realize the light bills wasn't paid because the lights ain't coming on this year.
Ooh.
And here's why. For the first time, I could say that the Warriors don't have an identity. And that's crazy, because we already know in the era with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond, they always had an identity. Not offensively, but defensively. And when I look at them, I see a disconnect. I don't know why, but they're not tied together on the defensive end. I don't see Draymond being that leader where he's talking guys through coverages. I don't see them running their offense fluid. I don't see those extra passes, passing up good shots to get great shots. So when I think about that, I think about them not having chemistry, them not having togetherness, and them not playing one agenda basketball. It's a hidden agenda going on throughout their locker room. They play a lot of individual basketball, and the Warriors, they don't have that switch to turn on. And if they do, they'll figure out the light bills ain't being paid.
We'll see. They'll be home tomorrow night against Milwaukee. We have that game for you on ABC. And look, some might say that could be a preview of the NBA Finals, but Golden State, Windy, has to hold up their end of the bargain. Are you ready to say this is just not going to be their year?
I'm not, because it's really testing the discipline on this. I've covered the NBA for 20 years, and you are reminded every single year the difference between the playoffs and the regular season. I know that this team, I've covered teams like this that have made championship runs. They just don't care. Perk has been on some of those teams, like in Cleveland, where they just didn't care for the regular season. Draymond said yesterday, I don't get out of bed barely for games in March. And I'm trying to respect that, but they're making it really, really hard.
When LeBron James went down, I will admit it, I went on this show and on NBA Countdown and I said, they're done. And then Anthony Davis has been averaging 34 points and 14 rebounds. The Lakers are only a game and a half out of the 6th seed. So Big Perk, I give you credit. You were the one who said to me, Greeny, AD can carry this. They're not done. Can the Lakers be a factor down the stretch and into the playoffs?
Hell yeah, they can. And shout out to Rob Pelinka for what he did at the trade deadline. But when you look at this team, they are talented. They have athleticism, they have shooting, they have everything and more. They have an identity on the defensive end, but they also have Anthony Marshawn Davis Jr. And when I look at this part and I look at the position that he's in right now, I said this last week, Anthony Davis has an opportunity to change the narrative about himself in the next couple of weeks. Meaning, forget being a top 5 talent. He actually has a chance to finish this regular season strong going into the postseason, to put his name back in the conversation with Giannis and Jokic and Joel Embiid and Sabonis, to show that he is a number 1 option on the team that they could go to. He is a franchise guy. So the Lakers, they're going to get into the postseason, and they're going to be hell for anybody that has to see this team first round.
You have turned out to be, to this point, 100% right. And if and when, and I think that the difference between if and when are big, they get LeBron James back, then all of a sudden, Windy, could we be talking about a team that feels dangerous in the playoffs?
Well, they do have some good news coming because D'Angelo Russell is coming back after being out about 2 weeks with this ankle injury, so they get some reinforcements short term. From what I am told, LeBron is turning over every stone he possibly can from a treatment perspective to get that foot in position to return at some point this season. And here's the thing, Greeny, there's a couple of marks in there. Now, I don't want to insult the Sacramento Kings at all. And I also do not want to make any assumption on what's going to happen with the Memphis Grizzlies. But if you're the Lakers and you can somehow get on the opposite side of them, you're either going to be playing a team that is banged up and doesn't know the future of its star player, or you're getting a team in the Kings that has not played in the playoffs in 16 years. So as crazy as it is, in mid-March, being 2 games under 500, the Lakers actually have a lot of life. Now, no margin for error. We cannot afford an Anthony Davis turned ankle. We cannot afford giving away a game or two. But they still have a window to do something special this season, and they sense it. You can tell by the way AD is playing. You can tell by the way LeBron is trying everything he can to get back that they sense there's still opportunity here.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.